Bobby Cutts, Jr., you are indeed worthy. A multi-year letterman in football and track, a first-team All-Conference 1964 and 1965, a member of District 3A Conference Championship teams in 1964 and 1965, co-captained the Northern High School football team in 1965, was the most valuable player in the Northern High School Southern game in 1965, and was awarded the Coca-Cola Helmet Award as the most dedicated football player in 1965. He served his country as an officer in the United States Navy and as a member of the Chief of Naval Operations under Admiral Elmo Zumwalt, staffed during the Vietnam War. What a great way to serve your country, and what a great leader. Yeah. He's a very successful businessman and philanthropist. He's currently residing in Hudson, North Carolina, and you'll have to tell us where Hudson is. The amazing thing is, this is pretty neat. He is the godfather to San Francisco Giants pitcher Madison Bumgarner. That's pretty cool. So if the only request is that I get an autographed baseball for Madison as soon as you can. So ladies and gentlemen, please welcome class of 2017 Northern High School Athletic Hall of Fame inductee, Bobby Cutts, Jr.
Well, I got a call February 1st and told me they was inducting me into the Hall of Fame at Northern High School. And I said, wait a minute, who is this really? No, honestly, I had no idea what's a Hall of Fame. Is it okay, Pete? Okay. I didn't know it was a Hall of Fame at Northern High School. I want to thank you and you, lady. That's a little spark plug right there. We had dinner Monday night, and they are wonderful people, and I can't believe this guy has dedicated his services to Northern High School. He's a Jordan graduate. Yeah, but his kids, they left 10 years ago, and these wonderful people are still head of this thing, and they've done a splendid job, and you guys got to have a hand. Both of you guys. And I'd like to acknowledge my family. Stand up. All of you guys, stand up. That's good. And listen, it's been 51 years since I've been out of Northern. I can't say this without crying. That's my family. All of these people I went to school with and joined me tonight. Class of 66, not 65. Will they stand up? Please stand up, everybody that went to school with me. I love you guys. I love you guys. Okay, now we have some sports heroes of mine in this room. And first of all, let me tell you, I don't honestly believe in accepting awards, and stuff like this. My mom taught me there's no I in team, So the team is in the class. That's who I represent. And I have a hero in this room, Kenny Browning. He was a big inspiration to me. He taught me what hard work was. And I hope I learned, Kenny. And I appreciate you. And my brother. Excuse me, this afternoon I was riding was talking to Pete, and then after I left here, I was writing down, wrote, I have never told my brother I love him. Love you, buddy. All right. We were us Kutch boys were much too macho to say that, you know. But I certainly appreciate it, and the committee and everything for. I have no business being in here. Well, Ocie, and the lady I used to go, my wife and I used to travel to Charlotte in the early 80s, wasn't it? Yeah, early 80s, to watch Candy play. And my wife used to get on me all the time and say, why do you want to come down? I said, she's from my old high school. And Ronnie Roberts. I call him the king of Cattsburg. He was one of the best baseball players. You know, everybody knows what Ronnie did in baseball. He was Hall of Fame in his college last year, was it, Ronnie? Or how many years ago was it? 2 years ago. Did you have a pitcher as good as Winston Mangum? No. Okay, listen, I've said enough. Oh my gosh. And my favorite people in the world. Hey guys, I did not pay. This is the guy responsible for your tickets. Bill and Sherry Fonner. They took over my business when I retired. And we hadn't known each other, what, 35 years, Bill? I love the man. Thank you, Bill. Okay, I've talked enough now. I got one more thing to do. I have been requested by several members, and of course I do anything for my second family and my first family too, but my second family especially. And tell you a little, should I? Should I? Yeah. Should I? Okay. I had a real good friend that would play ball, Ike Garrett. Ike passed on a few years ago. And well, anyway, we were getting ready to play on a Friday night, but Thursday we always go out, what we call a light. You know, you just had the helmet and a T-shirt and whatever. So Ike said, now, I'm not much, but I could boogie. Ike said, come here. We run a play, all the team would turn their backs, you know, and be watching the play, and then the second unit goes, and the third unit. So Ike said, Bob, please teach me how to dance. There's some girl at the youth center he wanted to impress. So I said, okay, Ike. I tell you what, come on back here right now. We had cleats on, shorts and stuff, and we were just boogieing back at about that time. Coach Martin, all the people had turned around, and they're looking right at me, and they're snickering and everything, and Coach Martin came up and said, okay, Kutch, Garrett, you can dress out tomorrow night, but you will not play 1 minute. So we said, okay, just as long as they don't tell my mama, that's all right. Anyhow, so we got together after school, you know, that Friday when it's time to play. And we stopped at Brother Bill Smith's store, a good friend of Kenny's and mine. And we had $1. You guys can't do this today now. We took $1 and we got 100 pieces of candy. Little Tootsie Rolls, the Mary Janes, the whole shebang. So we were not even permitted to warm up, but we could sit at the bench with our helmets in our hand. You know, that was okay. So we possessed to put the candy in our helmets. underneath. We weren't going to sit there the whole game without some candy. So we were eating candy and stuff. Second set of downs. Cuts, Garrett, get in the game. So, oh, Lord. And then it happened. They called Duke Wright. You remember Duke Wright, Kenny? That was me taking the ball right behind Ike. He was a tackle, the right tackle. So we got it in the end zone on that play. But there was candy all up and down. And the officials were picking candy up, and everything. It just so happened that night, Lou Bello, remember Lou Bello? Lou Bello was the back judge. And I said, oh my gosh, they're going to kick that. And I got about halfway off the field. He said, number 20, come here right now. And I said, oh Lord, I'm going to get kicked out and my mama's going to kill me. And he, I walked back to him, I had my head down. I knew I was gone, boy, having candy on the field. It was obvious whose it was. And he says, listen, when you get back over there, look and see if you got some more of those little chocolate candies. If you do, please bring me some, I said, yeah, yes, sir. And so I went on back. Well, several months later, I was going to the All-East banquet with my mom and my dad, my stepdad and my mom. And Coach Martin was going to go. He met us at my house, and he got in the back seat. I knew my parents never found out about that candy, And we got about halfway there. And Coach Martin said, it's like he had a frog in his throat, And I thought, Lord have mercy. And he says, Bob, do you have any of that little candy? And I said, no, sir. And my mom, she's she was the most proper lady ever. And she sort of looked in the back seat and said, you left it all on the field, didn't you? Well, I appreciate the nomination and everything, and all my friends and my sports friend, but my real heroes are over there. Mike Kaczynski, Al Wall, and Bobby Wheeler. They are people that served our country in Vietnam. I was a pencil pusher. They served it. And my hat's off to them. When they came back, they got no adulation whatsoever. But she'll always have it. And thank you a lot.
Pat Hayes, I think I raised him. I think he probably spent as much time at my house as he did at his own home. His entire family were dear friends, and I loved his parents, and his mom's here tonight. What a great treat to be able to see these incredible young people that have grown up to be incredible young adults. All conference in golf in 1976 and 1977 led Northern to its first school state championship team in 1976. He was also a wrestler, amazingly. Won the conference championship in 1975 and was all conference in 1975. What a great sport. And Ocie, you'll vouch for that. He went on to Greensboro College and was all conference there in 78, 79, and 80. Honorable mention All-American in 1980 and 81. An Athlete of the Year at Greensboro College in 1978. They won the conference championship in 78 and 79, and he was inducted into the Greensboro College Hall of Fame in 2009. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my honor to welcome one of my own, Pat Hayes, to be inducted into the Northern High School Hall of Fame.
I'm a great dancer too. My wife's over there shaking her head otherwise, I can tell you that. But thank you very much to the Northern High School Hall of Fame. I mean, this is really neat. I've been gone for 26 years. We live in the Charlotte area, and this is coming home for me, because not only coming back to Durham, but I grew up playing golf right here. So this is, it's really nice coming home. I got the call from Jeff Hill. It must have been February 1st, evidently. I was driving back from Charlotte, I-85, Charlotte to Concord, so I'm lucky to be standing here today. And I was really excited when I got the call, and I was a little bit emotional about it. And then I said, how long do you expect me to speak? And he said 30 minutes. I said, oh, God, I'm going to need props or something like that to talk that long. He said, no, you can be shorter than that. And my wife, my daughter, my brothers, they're all like, you need to make it brief, please. So I promise I will. But in golf, you need a lot of help along the way. And so if I really, truly stood here and thanked, everybody, I could talk for an hour. There's mothers that drive you to junior tournaments. There's men out here that took me under their wing, Don Fish, and all these people that, treated you like a man, really, and they expected you to act that way. So I thank those guys, Don. And as far as the wrestling goes, I hardly ever told anybody I wrestled. I'm surprised they got that statistic. I tried wrestling with Don's daughters a couple of times, but that didn't. They were both very pretty. I'm sure they still are.
Well, they told me they pinned you.
I wouldn't mind getting pinned by either one of them. But when you start thanking people, of course, it starts with your family. And we were like everybody else in the 60s and 70s. We played the big three, basketball, baseball, and football. And there was no soccer, there was no lacrosse, and we started at Holt Athletic Association, then to Carrington, and then on to Northern. But when I started showing an interest in golf, they supported me in it, and I really, really appreciate it. I started hitting balls in a pasture. He said, "Man, you're not that bad at it," and then we built us a little par three, and we played, and said, "You're not that bad at it." So before long, they were dropping me off at Hillendale and leaving me by myself, or with Dennis for a while, till he got tired of it. And we'd play all day long. And those guys out at Hillendale, they, little kids hanging around. It's not a daycare, but they treated us that way. They let us hang around. So, really happy tonight and proud to be able to have my mother here, Clara Boykin. I can't think about golf and my mother without thinking about the time of playing in the Herald Sun, which was such a big event for us at the time. It was at Hillendale, and everybody would come out and watch, and everybody who played in it. And we used to play in the same old clothes every day, all day long. My mother decided she needed to dress me up a little bit. I need to look better. If all these people would come out and watch you play, I want you to look a little better than you do. So I had on some pants, and I got out, I don't know if it's still there. It was old number 7 out by the highway, and I bent down to read a putt. And not only did I rip out the bottom of my pants, it ripped all the way down to my knee. And there was 40 or 50 people out there, and so I walked over there and said, "Mom, I need a pair of pants." So she dispatched one of my brothers, I'm sure, and by the time I made the turn, I had a new pair of pants to play and finish. But I also have here my brother Mike, who was mostly a baseball player, but his senior year, he was the Big Six Conference Player of the Year. So that's my plug for you right there, brother. He went on and played at Methodist for, I think he was there 6 or 7 years, I'm not sure. My brother Kevin, my brother Dennis, who's famous around these parts here. My brother Tim, who I play with today, Tim, Steve Lloyd, and Fran James. We came in second. Happy about that. And Tim's kids are here. Tim Jr., big Duke fan, and Ashley. I even have a nephew here, Jonathan. Really, really nice to have them here. But, you know, in golf, it does require a little money, and my parents found a way to, you know, so I could keep playing. But when I started playing out here, we had incredible, very unique times. Talking with Coach Browning about that earlier. There were so many people that were kids that were interested in golf. They played other sports, but we all played golf as juniors out here. And then, of course, eventually we made our way to Northern, and Herb Goins was the golf coach. I don't think he ever touched a golf club in his life. And all of a sudden, he's like, you know, I'm telling you, we had so many players. It was phenomenal. My sophomore year, we were really, really good. My junior year, we won the state championship. Very obviously proud of that. My senior year, we were really, really good. I mean, it was crazy how many good players could be on one high school golf team. And some of them are here tonight. Keith Clintock, Trip Herndon. Am I missing anybody, I hope? But on that team, and Coach Brown mentioned this earlier, Thad Daber, Phil Mazzoni, Paige Riley, Phil Herndon, Cliff Boyce. As juniors, Jamie Willis, who I played in a tournament with yesterday, Zach Veazey, Rick Riddle, who played at Duke, David Chapman, Keith and Trip. Every one of those either played college golf or could have played college golf. So, and you guys in other sports, especially in football, what that means is it was hard to get to play. Qualifying was the most pressure, you know. I mean, you had to get out here, you had to play very well or you weren't playing. You know, you had to beat those guys I listed, you had to beat them every week to get to play. So, unfortunately, my senior year, we did not win the state. You take 4 players, you count all 4 scores. I think in a regular match, Kevin Wicker's here somewhere, he'd probably tell you, but normally you'd play 6 guys and you count the 4 lowest scores. And unfortunately, one of the guys who turned out to be a golf pro didn't play well that day, and we didn't repeat, but we still we finished second, so I think we represented Northern High School pretty good. When I went to Greensboro College, well, actually, the reason I ended up at Greensboro College was at the state tournament, a coach came out there to me, and, you know, several did, but I mean, this one guy, and his whole goal, somebody had told him, said, if you want to build a program, you need to get one of them Northern Durham boys. He said, you get one of them Northern Durham boys come to your school, you got a good start. So that was his goal. If you knew him, you would know that's kind of the way he was. But when I got to school, in college, we had qualifying. We qualified at 6 or 7 different courses around Greensboro, 10 rounds, and you knew it was really big and important. It was going to set the stage for a year, whether you're going to get to play or not. Well, heck, I've been competing against these guys for 3 years, most of it right here at Willowhaven, sometimes at Crowsdale. So I was ready for it. I was prepared, and I did well, and fortunately had a good career in college. So really, thank you so much for this honor. I really, it's just so neat. I'm sure I left some people out, but as far as thanking, but thank you very much.
Our next Hall of Fame inductee, Ocie Jackson III, great wrestler. Okay, Ocie. What I learned earlier from Jim Key is that he was your junior high coach. He also shared with me about your son Marcus winning the state championship. Marcus 7 times? Wow. Matt Brown, who is a Hall of Fame member and the coach at Northern High School, has asked me to offer you a scholarship. He will also get you a date with one of my daughters. But I know you're extremely proud of your son, and he is extremely proud of you tonight, Ocie. Little story about this guy's great accomplishments. 1988, North Carolina High School Athletic Association Wrestling 4A 160-pound state champion, Northern High School's first state champion. 1988, wrestling first team All-State honors. 1988, Northern High School wrestling MVP. His record that year was 36-1. What was the name of the lady that beat you?
I'll tell you later, I promise.
All right. In the prior year, junior year, he was 24-7. He received a scholarship to attend Winston-Salem State University, and unfortunately, they dropped the wrestling program a year later. But I can assure you, if they'd have kept it, you would have been another All-American. He graduated from Winston-Salem State University in 1963 with a BA in Business Administration. Spent 20 years in information technology and sales and technology work. 4 years in the insurance industry as a broker and consultant, and he is now owner of Jackson, Scott & Associates from 2013 until the present. It is indeed a pleasure to welcome you, Ocie, to the Northern High School, that's my other job, to the Northern High School Class of 2017 Hall of Fame.
I got a call from Coach Key, who was my first coach. Coach Key, stand up, please. And when he called me, he asked me so many questions. I said, oh my God. I said, I hope he's not going to try to get me to join some multi-level marketing thing. And I said, I got to go to Durham because I can't let him down because I look up to him so much. But this is indeed a great honor. I speak in front of people for a living, but I'm nervous because I love Northern High School with everything I have. And this is a tremendous honor for me. And I first want to thank God because God put me at Northern High School. And I remember Coach Key years ago. I have a wrestling family. We won multiple state championships, 6 state titles, world titles, Olympic titles, but I didn't want to wrestle. So Coach Key came to me and he talked about it, but I didn't want to wrestle. So one day my friend Calvin Jones said, I'm busy right now. He was talking to some young ladies. I was impressed, so I said, listen, I'll go to Coach Key. He said, ask him when does wrestling practice start? And I asked Coach Key, I said, Coach Key, when does wrestling practice start? He said, Ocie, oh my God, you're coming out. You're coming out. Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait. I said, no, Coach Key, but he wouldn't take no for an answer, and the next day, I'm at wrestling practice. But it was the greatest thing that ever happened to me. Northern was one of the greatest things that ever happened to me. My family obviously was a support base, but I want to talk to you tonight about my coach, Coach Inskip. He taught me class and dignity. And Coach Brown and Coach Inskip and the coaches back then, they wouldn't take anything less than first class treatment for us, to us, and they expected us to act that way when we went out and represented Northern. It was a tremendous honor to be with these people. Coach Inskip was my second father to me. He was someone who he never wrestled before. So he taught me first and foremost, how to win and be a better man. And that's what he concentrated on. I remember him pulling me aside and said, I think you can win this state title. I thought he was crazy, but, this is a man that I love, and I always want to let you know that he was one of the greatest, and Coach Key and Coach Inskip will forever live with me. But I definitely want to thank my parents. My dad and mom are no longer with us, but my dad believed in me so much that when I was 9 and 20, or something like that, I lost every chance I got my sophomore year. He told me, "You're going to win the state title." I looked at him like he was crazy, but he believed in me. He was at every wrestling match. The only one he missed was against Hillside, and his mother died, and he asked me, "Is it all right if he missed tonight to go to see his mother's funeral, to his mother's funeral?" And I thought he was a tremendous man. And my mom, who ran out past security when I won and jumped in front of Coach Inskip and met me at the mat, and I hugged her. She supported me like no other as well. Let's see who else I forgot. My best friend, Billy, he believed in me from moment one. He still introduced me to this day as, "This is Ocie Jackson, Northern High School's first state champion." I was embarrassed by it when he first did it 30 years ago, but now I kind of like it. Who else I forget? My sisters. I had one sister, her name is Ocie Jackson. She was dragged to every wrestling match. I know she didn't want to come, but she was dragged there by force. She's not here tonight, but I want to thank her. I have another sister. As I was winning the state championship, she was about, 5-10 minutes away with her now future husband. I don't know why she didn't make it. I guess they'll tell me later. Tavita McClary, the one who's heard I'm a state champion more times in 8 years than anybody can humanly digest. Thank you for supporting me. Thank you for loving me. Thank you for listening to my stories, even though I changed it so many times. I think the last one I broke a leg and kept wrestling, but. To my oldest son, Torian, you are my friend, my son. I admire your fight. When they told him he couldn't get into school, he kept fighting, and guess what? This fall, you're going to graduate from my alma mater, Winston-Salem State University. You never gave up, and I love that about you. To Taylor, who also saw probably over 300 matches by force for her little brother, Daddy loves you. I look for great things and can't see what's going to happen next in your life. And to Marcus, I hope this motivates you to wrestle your you-know-what off. And you mentioned before he's a 6-time state champion, but he did something that Daddy never did. He's an All-American as well. He's a 3-time All-American. I'm proud of you for that as well. And last but not least, only Boo will understand this. That class of '88 was something special. Coach Browning understands it too. And I hope I'm representing you guys well. Go Knights.
Our next inductee, a female athlete from Durham, North Carolina, that Coach Browning thinks you are the greatest female athlete to ever play at Northern High School. Julianelle Candy Lucas. She played 3 sports: volleyball, basketball, and track and field. She graduated from Northern High School in 1981 and received a basketball scholarship to North Carolina State University, where she was coached by the late and great Coach K. Yao. In 1983, she transferred to the University of North Carolina at Charlotte. Almost got you to Chapel Hill. On a basketball scholarship where she earned MVP and all conference awards. In 1985, she was featured in Sports Illustrated, Faces in the Crowd. In 1985, Candy was also featured in Jet magazine for the first ever Harlem Globetrotter tryout held for women, but was not selected at that time. In 1986, she became a professional basketball player for the National Women's Basketball Association, the Carolina Blaze. After graduating in May of 1987 from the University of North Carolina, Charlotte, Candy received her BA degree in education. She joined the Charlotte Fire Department in July of 1987 And in January of 1988, she received a phone call from the world-famous Harlem Globetrotters asking her to play on the 1989 World Tour team. She happily accepted. After the tour, she returned to the Charlotte Fire Department, where she retired July of 2012 with 25 years of service. At the age of 50, Candy enrolled into the Tanchu Martial Arts Academy. I think that's the way you pronounce it.
Taekwondo.
Okay, Taekwondo. Sort of blew that one. After meeting all the physical and mental requirements, being examined by a panel of selected black belts and running to the top of Stone Mountain, my goodness, she earned her first degree black belt in October the 4th, 2014, at the age of 52. You are truly an amazing lady. It is my honor to welcome you as a member of the class of 2017 into the Northern High School Hall of Fame.
Good evening. I received a call from Jeff myself, unexpectedly, saying that I will be inducted into the Hall of Fame. And I said, sure. That sounds wonderful. So I would first like to thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. This is truly an amazing honor. I'd like to thank Northern High School Hall of Fame Board for selecting and inducting me into the Hall of Fame. I want to thank my family for being so very supportive. I see some friends and faces I hadn't seen in a very long time. This is great. I would like to thank all the teachers for their time, leadership, and dedication. Special thanks to volleyball coach Ms. Williams, basketball coach Malechik, track and field coach Walker. As long as I can remember, I've always known what I want to do with my life, and I'm doing it. This is amazing. I didn't foresee this coming, so I'm really excited about this. Did I thank my family? My family is here. My stepfather, he's my biggest cheerleader. He always has been. If you were at my basketball games, he was the loudest, and rightfully so. He made sure the ref make the right call all the time. My nephew, Tori, is here. My best friend, Debbie Stroman, who is a doctor at Carolina. She teaches at Carolina. That's okay. That's okay. My one and only sister, Sherry. My very best friend, Linda. Just glad to have everybody here and glad to see everybody. Did I leave anything out? Oh, one more thing. I want to say that abolitionist Harriet Tubman once said, and I quote, "Great dreams begins with a dreamer." I am a dreamer. Thank you.
Our fifth inductee, Ronnie Roberts. He's a graduate of 1967 from Northern High School and a 1971 graduate of Methodist University, previously was Methodist College in Fayetteville, North Carolina. Ronnie was the last ninth grade class to attend Northern High School as the following year Carrington Junior High opened. As a ninth grader at Northern High School, he played freshman football, then was on the JV team in the 10th grade and played varsity football his 11th and 12th grade years. He was a starter at halfback and played offense on the JV during the 10th grade. He also played defensive back during the same time. His junior year, he was not a starter on the varsity team, but played enough during the year to earn his letter for both halfback and defensive back positions. During his senior year, he played both offense as an end and as a defensive back. He played most every game, or every play in every game on the offense and defense, and on the kick return teams and kickoff teams and punt teams during his senior year. That's a load. You know, today they play one position. But his true passion was and still is baseball. He played baseball his 10th, 11th, and 12th grade years. He led it all 3 years playing second base. He was all-conference his senior year and was the team's MVP his senior year. Upon graduating from Northern High School in 1967, he attended Methodist University, and during his freshman year at Methodist, there was no college baseball team. He was one of the founders and the original player of the Methodist College's first baseball team, and he had a record of being the first player to get a base hit for the Methodist College Monarchs. He played on the team for his final 3 years at Methodist. He also ran cross country at Methodist during the fall of 1969. After graduating from Methodist in 1971, he got married and started serving in the United States Marine Corps Reserves and served as a Marine Reserve from 1971 through 1976. He played American Legion baseball during the summer of 1967 before starting in the summer of 1968, 1983 playing baseball for the Optimist League in Roxborough for the team Caldwell, a semi-pro team. We used to play them when I was a member of the Cattsburg Blues. He was a member of the Roxborough Optimist Club for approximately 10 years and played and coached in the Optimist League from 1984 to 1990. In 1991, he moved to Lynchburg, Virginia to begin his career in baseball. He was first as a head groundskeeper. After a few years, he was promoted to the position of assistant general manager, which he held the title until November 2014. At that time, he was promoted to general manager, which is a position he holds until now. So it is my honor to welcome to the class of 2017 Northern High School Hall of Fame, Ronnie Roberts.
Thank you all very much. This is quite an honor. As you can tell, baseball, I was much better at baseball than football. I love both of them, but baseball was my sport. In fact, when I got out of high school, the Yankees wanted to sign me for $10,000, and my parents didn't have that kind of money to give them, so I didn't sign. Congratulations to the new inductees and the old inductees, and thanks to my sister for nominating me. Only girl I know that climbed the water tower at Northern High School and wrote her name on it. Might have put a phone number on it too, I don't know. But and thanks to the committee for inducting me. It's quite an honor. I've won 4 championships, been part of 4 championships in professional baseball in the Carolina League, and was inducted into my College Hall of Fame, but I consider this the best honor because it's the greatest honor. I'm from this area, so I know a lot of people. A lot of people influence me, and it's just I hope my grandkids and their grandkids will be able to see my plaque displayed, and I'm so, Bobby said he didn't belong up here. You do. You belong up here. I feel like I don't belong up here, but I'm really honored. I have my family. We took up 2 tables. I have my 2 sisters and their husbands. I want y'all to stand, please. And I have a nephew and his wife, Stan, Steve, and Jen Craig. My 2 daughters, Kelly and Jennifer, and their husbands, Greg and Tim, y'all stand. that Sister Shelby and her husband John, my 2 granddaughters Abby and Ella. Thank you all so much for coming. My cousin Wink Mangum, who played baseball at Northern, he was really good. When he was in the 9th grade, he's the same size he is now, and he threw about 85. Then he discovered the smell of perfume and gasoline and gave up baseball for women in cars, but he could have been a star. And my fiance is here, Renee, if you could stand. I met her at the ballpark, and a lot of good things happened at the ballpark in Lynchburg, Virginia, but that was the best thing to happen to me right there. So thank you, babe. I love you. This morning we were talking about, you need to give me a sign when I've talked too long. And she said, what about this? And I said, no, that's too obvious. And she said, what about this? I said, no, that's too obvious. So she came up with this. So when you do that, I'm looking right at you. But being from Bahama, we didn't have organized sports in Bahama, and I always wanted to play football at Northern. I remember going to Northern on Friday nights and watching Kenny Browning and those guys, and I thought it'd be such a wonderful thing to play football at Northern. Trouble was I was 5 feet tall and I weighed 90 pounds. And when I got out of 8th grade, I went to Northern and we had practice. Coach Bob Collins was the coach. Those days we put pads on the first day and started hitting. My knee pads, my thigh pads were on my knees and my knee pads were on my shins. So my mother had to alter my pants. And I was so naive in those days. I thought an athletic supporter was somebody that rooted for his favorite team. So that's how naive I was. But Coach Collins was really tough. If y'all knew Coach Collins, he was hardcore. But I got to play one play that year. It was the final game of the year, and there was a play. It was over about 5 seconds, and I went and jumped on top of the pile, and the whistle blew and the red flag flew, and I got called for a foul, and Coach Collins said, Roberts, why'd you do that? And I said, well, I just wanted to hear my number 22 called out at least once this year over the PA system. Said, I have fulfilled a dream. Learned a lot that freshman year. First time I'd ever did a group shower, and I found out that the man who said all men are created equal didn't know what he was talking about. Quite a shock. But Coach Collins, toward the end of the year, we had a classroom session, as they call them, skull session. And he said, all right, men, first down, goal to goal, the 2-yard line. 10 seconds left, we're down 5. Roberts, what are you going to do? I said, well, I'm going to move a little closer to the end of the bench so I can see the play, Coach. We didn't win the game that year. We had some good players, not just enough. We had so at the end of the year, Coach Collins said, I remember we came back from a trip, he said, Roberts, you need to give this sport up. You're never going to play football. You're never going to play varsity football at Northern High School. Now, I don't know if he did it as a motivating factor or if he really meant it, but I had been thinking about quitting, and it was a life-changing experience. It really was. And I decided right then that I was going to play 3 more years of football at Northern, and I was going to play baseball at Northern. I grew a little bit. I looked up one of the game day magazines programs. My senior year, I was 5'8", weighed 140 pounds, and I played tight end. Could block. Only threw the ball 2 or 3 times a year. I caught one of those and dropped the other 2. But I wish my parents were here to see this. They'd be honored and proud. I wish Ernie Martin was here to see this. I loved Coach Martin. He was tough. I wish Coach Collins was here, and You remember Coach Arp, Jim Arp, better known as Bones? He was a great guy. I learned so much from each one of those. I learned perseverance from Coach Collins, because he wanted me to quit, and I persevered. I learned how to be tough from Coach Martin. He made you tough to play for him. And I learned how to have fun from Coach Arp, because y'all know Coach Arp liked to have fun. He made the game of baseball fun. I think everything that I've learned was founded upon what I learned playing sports at Northern High School. And it's helped get me where I am now, being in professional baseball 27 years, and it's a great job, it's a great life, and I love it. And I owe a lot of it to Northern High School and their athletic program. I thank y'all very much for coming. Hope everybody has a good time. Have a safe trip home. Thank you.
What a day this has been. It's been a lot of fun for a lot of people, me included, and Knight. Congratulations to all the inductees, as well as those of us who have been inducted before. It's a special day of the year to be able to come back each year and see the new class coming in. I was fortunate to have gone to high school at Northern for 6 years. Took me 6 years to get out as a student. That's a true story, because I went there in the 7th and 8th grade, believe it or not. They moved the kids from Hillendale over there, so we were in what was N Hall. They call it North Hall now. It's not on the north side of the building. And N stood for new at that time. And I was in N10 in the 7th grade and N6 in the 8th grade, self-contained classroom, and then went 4 years to high school there. So between that time and then being fortunate enough to go back and coach there for a number of years, I got to see a lot of really special players, both men and women, in a lot of different sports. And just to see the kind of people that we had throughout the history of that school. Some of them were my heroes when I was a younger kid in school, the 7th grade, and like a Bernice Proctor and guys like Don. Marvin Jones, just different ones that I got to observe that way as a youngster. And then later playing with a lot of special people. And some of Ronnie, I believe your class, I actually got to coach in football for a little while when I had an injury. I helped Coach Collins a little bit, probably why we didn't win any games, to be honest with you. But the Lord saw fit for me to get injured my senior year in a game, and I was supposed to miss the rest of the year. I wound up only missing about 4 games, but had a broken ankle. And during that time, I really thought I was thinking about becoming a veterinarian. I grew up on a farm, and the more I investigated that, you had to go to either Auburn or Georgia. North Carolina State at that time didn't have a vet school. They had a pre-vet school. And for me to go to Georgia or Auburn, might as well have been in China for the way I felt growing up. It was just not something I felt like I could do. And then I thought, well, I might could go into extension work. I was already smart enough to know, growing up on a farm, that we didn't have enough land to keep that going. Things were changing. Farms were getting large and small farms disappearing. It is my honor tonight to introduce K. Mabe. The service award to me is maybe not to diminish anything about the Hall of Fame, but the service award to me is maybe the most special of all, because most of the recipients of that have served Northern High School for so many years. It's not having great necessarily athletic ability that allows somebody to play 3 or 4 years and get inducted. It's an accumulation of service to others in many cases. Kay was a really good tennis player when she was at Northern. She was the most valuable player of the tennis team. She was all conference in both singles and doubles. Graduated from Northern, I think, in '82, and then went to UNC and graduated from that. Came back to Northern, began teaching math and coaching tennis at Northern in '86. She was an unbelievable servant as a teacher and a coach. things that she would do. She was low maintenance. If you were the athletic director, that you really appreciate that because she cared about the students and doing what was good for them, and she knew what was good for them. So she didn't create problems. I think I've heard it said that great leaders know how to solve problems. Good leaders know how to solve problems. Great leaders know how to prevent problems, and Kay was one of those. She knew how to prevent them. She was a member of the National Honor Society as a student at Northern, and the 4 qualities that takes is scholarship, which she was a great student, character, service, and leadership. And she had all of those. So how could you go wrong to be able to hire somebody to come back that's going to teach it at that school, had the positive attitude that she had, and always looking to help someone else. She looked for the good in other people. And that is a special person in my mind. So with no further ado, I want to introduce Kay Mabe.
Wow, what a night to be in a room with everybody that loves Northern High School as much as I do. It is a very, very special place. Always has been, always will be. I want to thank the Hall of Fame for this terrific award. I'm very honored and humbled to be here. It left me speechless when I got the phone call. Never imagined anything like this. I've always wanted to be a teacher. It was in my blood. I knew from a very, very early age I wanted to teach school. I wanted to pass on my love of learning and work with young ones. I was very blessed to go to Northern High School, and my life changed. With the wonderful teachers and an amazing experience, I had a dream, and my dream was go to UNC, teach math, and come right back to Northern High School. I wanted to give back to other young ones what they had given to me because it was just an amazing, amazing experience. So that's what I did. I was fortunate to let that happen, and through the years, it's been a privilege to serve the students and families that in the community in which I live. That was just very, very special. I loved going back and working with the teachers that inspired me to be there. I would not be standing here today if it was not for many, many people along the way giving their support, encouragement, and guidance. There's too many to name. There's just no way that's possible. But I have to name a few. First and foremost, I have to thank my parents for their unwavering support and love, for showing me the value of hard work, for the power of a positive attitude. In good times and bad times, you were going to get through it. Many times at the dinner table, early in my teaching career, and you always have that doubt, many discussions around the dinner table. We called them my therapy sessions with my parents. My mother, with her background in teaching, would help me solve the problems. And my dad would just say, I'm not worried. You got this. You'll figure it out. And he has helped me so much. And he is here tonight with me. And I value that very much. They were always there to tell you to jump in and do what needed to be done. Don't wait to be told. Just do it. And they were great examples of that. I have to thank my Northern family, the teachers, the administrators, the staff members that have enriched my life with true friendships over the years. Each and every day, they would inspire me and challenge me to grow and develop, not just as a teacher, but as a person. It was a strong network of support, and you get Northern knights and ladies around you, and that's a pretty strong unit, and one that will get you through good times and bad times. Northern is truly a family. Working there was a pleasure. We celebrated the success. We held each other up in the trying times and difficult times. We could argue, we could disagree, but we were always united, and we would always serve our students in the best way possible. That was our goal, do what's best for the students. Within this incredible Northern family, there are a few individuals that I must give a shout out to. First, Jim Armstrong and Kenny Browning. I never will forget, 5 weeks before my first year of teaching, I get this phone call from Mr. Armstrong. Come talk to me. I'm like, okay, what have I done now? I haven't even started. I got there, Coach Browning was sitting there. They wanted me to coach girls tennis. I'm like, what? You got to be, I only play tennis. Never in my wildest dreams did I think about being a coach. I thank them for that. That put me on the best path ever because it exposed me to a side of school that I probably would not have seen otherwise. It got me right involved in athletics, which I loved, going to the games, whether it was taking up tickets, concession stands, whatever needed to be done, we just would do it. But again, I have to personally admit, they sent me to a tennis camp, and I benefit from that to this day because I'm still playing tennis. So they gave me the confidence, they gave me the encouragement, and they said I could do this. And from them and all the other coaches, I learned that the most powerful thing you could do as a teacher was to build those relationships. And it wasn't just the students, it was their families, it was the community. There was more to teaching than just teaching math. There was a lot more to it. To give the kids an overall environment, to help them be productive human beings, good citizens, show a work ethic, positive attitudes, commitment to sports, life lessons through good seasons and bad seasons. So I have to thank, again, Jim Armstrong and Kenny Browning for showing me a side of school that I probably would not have experienced, and it was wonderful. And those relationships with those tennis players still exist to this day. I found myself just a couple of weeks ago playing against one of them in a recreational league. Second, Joan Harrison. Many of you in this room know the name Joan Harrison. She's been around Northern forever. She was not able to be here tonight, but she's been a true friend and a mentor. She's one of the reasons I wanted to teach at Northern High School. Her passion for teaching, her love for all students. She taught me, do what's best for those kids. Those kids always come first. Don't make it easy on yourself. You find a way to reach those kids. She also pushed me in my middle phase of my career, a leadership role as department chair. She, mainly because she didn't want to go to the meetings anymore, and she knew, as being a former student, she could say, you go here, and yes ma'am, I'll go. So her dedication, she was always available morning and lunch, afternoon, and it wasn't just teaching math, it was hanging out, giving advice. So I appreciate that to this day, and she still gives advice. The other teacher at Northern High School that inspired me to come back to Northern is Susan Browning, the most caring teacher I have ever had. She made a connection with each and every student in her room. It didn't matter if it was 15 of us or 30 of us, you had her attention. She was lively, she'd break out in a song, and she just enthusiastic, and you're like, yes, I want to come back and work with Miss Browning. I want to come back and work with Miss Browning. So she would always be encouraging, but I have to also say, she set me up big time. She knows it too, and I've told her every day. She retired, and she left me with this thing called graduation at Northern High School. The most nerve-wracking day, and at the same time, the most rewarding day you can have. She trained me well. She did, and every year, even when she wasn't there, she'd call and give me a pep talk, and she would push me through it. So I thank her for that. It was a very, very happy day to see those students walk across that stage, knowing that hoping that they had the same experience at Northern High School that I did, and that they had the life skills necessary to go beyond the term papers and go beyond the standardized test and go out and make their mark on the community. And some of them even came back during my time at Northern to teach. It is a very, very special place. And the true sense of family and loyalty that I just don't think you find at many other schools. So I hope that I was able to make a small difference in their lives, whether it was for an hour, a day, a week, a lifetime, because I was certainly touched by a lifetime of Northern High School. All the teachers, the staff, and especially the students. Being there for the students has made me the person I am today. Thank you so much for this wonderful honor. I appreciate it very, very much. Thank you.